well. April 16th, 2014. I'm on alternate highway 95, halfway between Silver Springs, Nevada and Fernley, Nevada. And over there, I pulled over to the side of the highway. Over there are some BLM wild horses. Those are not state wild horses, they're actually on federal land. So with all this controversy raging, Clive Bundy, the rancher down in Clark County, people rallying behind him. Many of us, well, I should say some of us, I'm not even going to say many anymore, that are wild horse advocates, that are not extremists, and we are not inexperienced with domestic or wild horses. In fact, we're very experienced with domestic and wild horses because a few of us, or some of us, have been in the horse industry for a number of years in various facets of the horse industry. In my case, I've been a trainer for over 40 years with many different types of horses in many different disciplines for many different uses. And I also used to teach a 2-credit equine management course at the college. And I've been transporting horses for 39 years with all types of trailers, all types of horses, including wild horses. And I've adopted a lot of horses from the BLM, rescued state horses as well, but what I found in my little foray into public horse rescue for about 10 months, which turned out to not be a very good experience, not because of the horses, we rescued quite a few, but because of the people, because just too many people, they just didn't seem to get beyond the 7th grader social status, social interaction level. It was really incredible. But anyway, there's a whole big thing, but, hopefully, and the ranchers aren't confused about, they've been trying to get the wild horses, the federally protected wild horses, off of the federal public lands since the inception of the Free-Roaming Wild Horse and Burro Act of 1971. However, back then we still had a lot more what we'll call mom and pop ranching operations. These were the people that have been ranching for generations, and I know it's their business, but they're getting subsidized by tax-paying American taxpayers. I just want to see balance on the range, where the wild horses and burros are primarily managed in the wild, as they're supposed to be, but not to the extent that they're allowed to overpopulate. Certainly we have to have controls. I think that's where the eco-sanctuaries would come in. Those would be privatized eco-sanctuaries that operate so that they can, let's say we had a horse out there that was, no longer thriving in the wild. The predators have mostly been hunted out of the wild, so the wild horses don't have a whole bunch of natural predators anymore. So if there's a horse out there that's failure to thrive, he's maybe can't keep up with the band of horses anymore. So he'd die a slow death and maybe even start to be, if he went down and couldn't get up, he'll start to be eaten by the coyotes that aren't capable of killing him outright like a mountain lion could, or a wolf or something. But those coyotes will start to eat that horse before he's even dead. So, places like that, eco-sanctuaries would be excellent places like that. Or you could run great adoption programs where you'd actually be getting in horses. You could charge people that want to become certified in wild horse genitling and training. But then the eco-sanctuaries would have trained captive wild horses up for adoption instead of adopting them out for $125, and then people can't do anything with the darn horse. They wait a year, they gain title, and then they give a horse away. A lot of the times the horse is still wild. They give it away to a horse trader or kill buyer for free and the horse ships to slaughter in Canada or Mexico. So it's just not nice. So eco-sanctuaries do have a place in the managing of wild horses, but not that people should have the carrot dangled in front of their face and they end up taking in any and all wild horses off our federal public land where they're primarily supposed to be managed, okay? Because that's the plan. As long as these federally protected wild horses are out on this federal public range and are protected, the powers that be, the corporations, our government, whomever, can't just fence off this range because it is supposed to be, these horses are mandated by law to be free roaming in their HMAs. So the fact is that these horses enable any of us in the public, whether we're running a small business on the public land or whether we just like to go out there and horseback ride or ride motorcycles or hunt or fish or camp. The reason that we're not bumping into more fences already is because of these federally protected free roaming wild horses and burros. So that's the facts. So yes, I would like to see eco-sanctuaries, but not for the nice healthy horses. Bring in the young adoptable ones, train them, and adopt them out as for more money as trained horses. Have people come in and learn how to train in gentle and so on and so forth. But maybe it's a blessing in disguise that Clive Bundy, the rancher down there, and he's not squeaky clean. I know he isn't. I'd still be willing to work with the guy. Even knowing how a lot of ranchers feel about the horses, because I think a lot of these ranchers that haven't sold out and become corporate ranchers, I think that they never thought it could happen to them, that they would be eradicated. But it is happening. So maybe they'll rethink how they feel about the protected, free-roaming federal wild horses and burros so that we don't all lose out on this to the corporate machine, because the corporate machine wants this land. You can see it's vast, and there's a lot of minerals out there. You can frack, there's water out there, but you know what? You got to be able to put up fences in order to control that, and keep the public off of it, unless they make us pay a user fee. Or they'll put up no trespassing signs, and if we go on our own public land, which we'll still be paying, our tax dollars will still go toward subsidizing these companies that are operating on our open range, we'll be cited and or maybe even arrested for trespassing. So let's keep these horses out there, and let's manage their numbers. And yes, and I'm absolutely 100% anti-horse slaughter. And I'm not going to go into the reasons why right now, but they're not just from an emotional aspect. Partially that, but several other reasons why I'm not, that also does affect the American taxpayer, okay? To the detriment of the American taxpayer and to the enrichment of the powers that be, corporate welfare, whatever. So, anyway, but I won't go into that now. So, anyway, but there's just some nice BLM, federally protected wild horses over there, just kind of doing their thing, cruising along. So, anyway, if anybody has any questions, you can go ahead and email me at Laura, Laura B9506 @gmail.com. And and we were the ones that were attacked by another rescue on a attempted seizure scam that we never did. Nobody ever did help us on that one. We didn't need help, but anyway, everybody scattered. But that's a whole nother story too, which we're writing a book about. So. Which will, talk about that issue of seizure scams to an extent, animal enterprise terrorism, as it is called by the FBI, but also we will be discussing the issue of wild horses, commercial horse slaughter, as opposed to, let's say, bullet to the brain, killing a horse, because that's not how it's done. So anyway, commercial horse slaughter is very different from, let's just say, if somebody decided to shoot their horse and eat it. You know, big difference between commercial horse slaughter and shooting a horse in the head and then maybe butchering it like you would a cow or something. So anyway, but that's a whole nother thing, and we'll be discussing that in the book. So anyway, it is April 16th, 2014. This is Laura Bell, along with my buddy, Hardy Dog. Where is he? Dog that came up from animal control in Arizona because he was going to be euthanized. But he's my good boy. We love Harvey. He's my companion. He's my bud. Anyway, see ya.